Good afternoon, and welcome to week 4 of the 6-part series of statewide Job Club presentations. My name is Art Larson, and I'm a job service manager with the state of Minnesota. Today's topic is how to get a job using LinkedIn. This presentation is one of many offered through the CareerForce Virtual and Interactive Services program. I will be sending everyone information on how to access additional opportunities within that service at the end of today's presentation. Before we get going, I'd like to take a few moments to let you know how you can interact with our presenter and other attendees today. Due to the large number of participants, everyone's mic has been muted, but you can ask questions through the chat function. If you hover over the bottom of your screen, you can click on the call-out button to activate your chat panel. If you don't mind everyone seeing your question or comment, you can choose to send it to all attendees, but you also have the option of sending your questions privately to any one of the panelists or to all three by choosing all panelists. To get us started, please enter your name and where you are from into the chat box. While you're doing that, it is my pleasure to introduce today's speaker. When she was little, Catherine Byers-Breet dreamed of becoming two things: a wild animal photographer in Africa or Barbara Streisand. When neither of those came true, she became a recruiter and immediately fell in love with the job. 22 years later, she runs a company called Arbez, which is zebra spelled backwards. At Arbez, Catherine teaches people how to change their stripes and do what they love for a living. She has helped over 80,000 people all over the world to get more money, more freedom, and more fun out of work. For the past 10 years, she's been a crowd favorite at CareerForce centers all over Minnesota. Today, she's here to talk about how to effectively use LinkedIn for your job search. Catherine, take it away.
All right. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm hanging out in Inver Grove Heights today. We've got people from East Bethel and Chanhassen. I think I saw Bemidji, Woodbury, Crystal. Nice. Welcome, everyone. All right. So you're looking for work and you think LinkedIn might be the ticket. Well, it probably is. LinkedIn is a spectacular tool for looking for work. The trouble is it takes a little bit to figure out how to use it. And that's why I'm so happy that you're here. I got on LinkedIn kicking and screaming about 15 years ago. I did not want to get on there. I wasn't interested, but people kept sending me invitations. And finally, the boss said, are you serious about your career? Do you really want to succeed? You got to get out on LinkedIn. Stop ignoring my invitation. So anyway, I've been out there a long time. I've made all the mistakes. I've tested tons and tons of messages and strategies and what have you. And I'm here today to share with you not only what works for me and my business. By the way, as a small business owner, I'm a full-time job hunter. I am constantly hunting for my next client and my next paycheck. So I'm living what I'm going to share with you today. I've also had the pleasure of guiding uh, actually over 100,000, not just 80,000. I actually crunched the numbers last week, over 134,000 job seekers in the last 12 years. So I'm just going to share best practices with you today. Take your questions as we go. And waiting in the wings, I have a special guest today. Jay Zani is going to join us and talk about how to build a fabulous LinkedIn profile. But before I start sharing my best practices, I have a question for you. What's a good day on LinkedIn for you? For those of you that are already out there and job hunting, what's a good day on LinkedIn? How do you define a successful day on LinkedIn? Now, we all know the end game is a great new job or a great new project if you're a freelancer or a consultant. But what about from today, this moment, to getting that job? What about all those little things in between? Good moments on LinkedIn. Let's see in the chat. I would love to hear from you. What makes you happy on LinkedIn? For me, it's hearing from old friends I haven't spoken to in 20 years, either a former coworker, former college buddy, new contacts. A really, really good day. I sent a message to somebody, and 11 seconds later, she sent a reply. She said, let's talk on the phone. And about 2 hours later, we talked on the phone, and she hired me on the spot. That was a very good day on LinkedIn. And if you think that's nuts and that can't happen to you, it can. You're just one conversation away from that great new job. Now, I wish I had a crystal ball and I could tell you which conversation it is, but I'm certainly going to help you get more conversations a lot more easily. So a fun connection. Boy, Monica, I'm like you. When I talk to somebody fun on LinkedIn, you can just feel their energy jumping off the screen, and I love that. And that boosts my energy, which gives me the courage and the confidence and the energy that I need to go out hunting for my next client. Yes, so fun. How many times your profile has been viewed? So we've got a super user here. Omar is obviously on LinkedIn a lot, and understands that you can see how many people are viewing your profile. That section is called Who's Viewed, and we're going to talk about it a little bit later. Or a recruiter reaching out. Good stuff. All right, so here is what Jazani and I are going to share with you today. Number one, I want to do a quick little pulse check on why bother. Is it worth your time to figure out how to drive LinkedIn? Yes, and I'm going to tell you why. Secondly, I'm going to bring my expertise to the party and talk about recruiters. They are the gatekeepers. They are the ones who hold the open positions, not all the time, but a lot of the time. And they're the ones who are going to either let you in the gate or out of the gate. Now, there are ways to go around the recruiters, and I'm going to teach you how to do that too. But it will be really helpful for you to understand when a recruiter has an open position that they're trying to fill. Like my buddy Jake, who texted me today and said, I have 6 hot new openings. If I send them to you, will you help me find some people? Yes, yes, I will. In other words, he knows that I don't recruit anymore and I have an incredibly robust network, and he wants to pinch people out of my network, and I'm happy to do it. That's what I do now. I share jobs, I share people, I put the two together. So he's hungry. He's looking for people. And one of his first conversations was to reach out to me. So that's a little window into, speaking of recruiters, how they hunt on LinkedIn. Then I'm going to share the 3 fundamental secrets to your success. If any one of those is broken, you're not going to have a lot of luck out there. And I want you to understand what those 3 things are. Then Jazani is going to come on and talk about how to build a great profile that shows up on the first page. So when people are hunting for somebody with your skills, you'll show up on the first page. Then they'll glance at your profile and they'll be enticed. They'll click on it, they'll open it up, and they'll like what they see so much, they reach out to you and say, hi, I'd love to talk to you about an opportunity. That is our goal today, is to get your profile up to that point. Then I'm going to wrap things up today by talking about what to do every day on LinkedIn, because one of the biggest challenges is, man, if you're not careful, you can get lost out there and wake up 4 hours later with 0 achieved, because there are articles to read and videos to watch and cool people to look at. You can do all sorts of things on LinkedIn and accomplish nothing. So I'm going to give you my 8 steps that you can do on a daily basis. Check messages, scan your news feed, look for people in your target market, couple of different things that I'm going to talk through with you so that you know what to do when you wake up in the morning with your hot cup of coffee, what to do first thing in the day to make sure you don't miss any opportunities. And then lastly, we're going to talk about what to say. Because if you do everything right, you work hard, you've got an all-star profile, you are out there every day doing all the right things, but your messages aren't really very good, all of that hard work is going to be for nothing, because people aren't going to respond to you. And that is so frustrating. So we got to talk about messages and what to say. All right. So that's the agenda today. And as Art said, I'm going to be scanning the comments as we go. We do have a lot of folks with us today, so I won't be able to get to all of your questions, but I am certainly going to try. And Art's going to consolidate some too. If he sees some recurring questions that I'm not getting to, he's going to shoot those off to me. All right. So first of all, why bother? You tell me. You tell me in the chat, why bother hanging out on LinkedIn if you need a new job or project? What do you think is the benefit of using LinkedIn? All right. Well, while you're thinking about good reasons to be on LinkedIn, I'll share the coup de grace, which is when somebody gets a job, right? Let me give you a couple of stats. The stats are, when you apply for jobs online, it's highly competitive, and you have to get through the technology system and then through to the recruiter and then to the hiring manager. And for a lot of reasons that we talked about during the online job club last week, which, by the way, you can go watch the replay at Career Force Virtual and Interactive. If you missed that, how to stop getting rejected online, I recommend you go out and check it out. So that's one thing, is the competition's fierce online because it is so easy to apply online. A lot of people do it and you can get lost in the shuffle. But if you are applying through LinkedIn and through referrals, you can get hired so much faster. In fact, you can get hired 55% faster. And if you're not careful, you might get a job offer in just 2 weeks. So I'll talk with you about what Melissa and others do and what I do to turn an opportunity into a job offer on LinkedIn. So 2 weeks, that's pretty great, isn't it? So out of curiosity, do you know anybody who's gotten a job through LinkedIn? Either through networking or through a recruiter who reached out to them on LinkedIn. Do you know anybody who's gotten a job using LinkedIn? Omar's offering up one of the reasons why LinkedIn is so helpful. It is the largest network of professionals that you can find connections to get your next gig and job. Yes, it is. In fact, a lot of people argue with me and say, oh my gosh, well, my kind of people aren't out there. So just for giggles, right before this webinar kicked off, I just wanted to see what kind of a variety of people are out there. So call center. I did a search for call center folks, and there were 2.63 million call center folks. So then I sorted by the greater Minneapolis St. Paul metro area and came up with 30,000 folks in the call center space. And I was curious, well, what about marketing? Are there a lot of people in marketing? Why, yes, there are. 1.1 million people in marketing. What about Minnesota? 10,000. Well, then I thought, well, what about trucking? Is there anybody in the trucking industry? Because a lot of people say to me, LinkedIn is only white collar jobs. So I went hunting for truck drivers. And guess how many truck drivers I found? 613,000. And I sorted by the Minnesota Twin Cities Metro, and I got 5,000. But what are we really here to talk about today? We are really here to talk about how do you get in front of the hiring managers? So then I started hunting for hiring managers. If there are 5,000 truck drivers on LinkedIn, listen to this. There are 5,000 truck drivers in the greater MSP metro area. I didn't hunt by Minnesota, but you get the idea. Then I wanted to know how many directors and above in the trucking industry who hire truck drivers. I wanted to know how many of them are on LinkedIn. Wild guess in the comments section. 5,000 truck drivers. How many managers, hiring managers, are in the greater MSP metro area that hire truck drivers? What do you guys think? Just throw a number out just for giggles. 5,000 truck drivers on LinkedIn. How many decision makers who hire truck drivers? 150, 200, 300. No. In Minneapolis, St. Paul, there are 19,000 people at the director level or above in the trucking industry. Wait a minute. There are almost 4 times as many decision makers as there are truck drivers. Yes. And you know what that tells me? Huge opportunity for any truck drivers that are on with us today to go get in front of the decision makers. So I thought that was really funny. It's usually flipped, where there are way more, available candidates than decision makers, but not in this case. Don't get scared though. Most decision makers are on LinkedIn. They just aren't out there as often. All right. Some other good reasons to be on LinkedIn is that 97% of recruiters are out there every single day. There are lots of surveys on this. I was a recruiter again. I got on LinkedIn 15 years ago to recruit. Now I'm out there to sell and teach. Bullhorn surveyed 160,000 recruiters, and 97% of them were out there every single day. I've talked about the stats about applying online. If you apply online and you have to get through the technology and then the recruiter to get hired, 12% chance of getting hired. Unless you go watch last week's job club, you'll get some tips on how to dramatically increase your chances. But if you go in by referral, folks, if you go in by referral and get introduced to somebody inside the company, your chances of getting that job go from 12% to 40%. And listen to this. If you can get introduced to somebody at the director level or above, your chances go from 12%, are you sitting down, to 92% chance of getting the job offer, assuming you're a fit. Wow. Oh my gosh. You want to talk about jumping ahead of the competition. So I hope you're excited. I hope you're excited because I'm here today to tell you how to get introduced to the managers and the directors. First, because Jaisani is about to come on and talk to you about how to boost your profile, and I want you to understand why it is so important to go through the trouble of beefing up your profile to an all-star rating. Basically, LinkedIn has said these 12 things are important. Do you have all of them done? If so, they give you an all-star rating. What that translates into is if you have an all-star rating and you have all the pieces of your profile filled out, when a recruiter comes in and does a search for somebody with your skills, LinkedIn will reward you by putting you on the first page of results. And we all know what happens when you're searching on the internet and you get 30 pages of results. You never get past the first or second page because you find what you're looking for. Same thing on LinkedIn. So you want an all-star profile, Jaisani's going to tell you how to do it. And here's what happens on the recruiting side of the house, all right? So before I tell you what recruiters are up to, I want to ask again, are recruiters reaching out to you on LinkedIn? Are any of you getting recruiters finding you and talking to you on LinkedIn? Brian says yes. Wonderful. Breen, no. Joseph, yes. Jane, no. For those of you that are saying no, please do not get discouraged. You're here and you're going to walk away today with some easy things you can do right now today to start changing that. Plus, because you're attending live today, Art's going to follow up with an email in the next 24 hours, and you're going to get my free 20-page guide, which is a deep dive in everything that we're talking about today. All right, so what you're going to get in a follow-up, and I'm going to remind you of that because I want to free you up to absorb what you're learning, take notes on your aha moments. You're like, oh my gosh, I want to do that. Write it down. What I don't want you to worry about is taking notes on what Jaisani and I are teaching, because you're going to get the slides. The replay will be up in a week or two. And because you're attending live today, you're going to get my free guide. So don't worry about writing down what we're saying. I want you to write down your light bulb moments. And of course, chat with us in the questions. So here's what happens when a recruiter gets a need. They have a job opening. So it's kind of funny. I'm talking to you about my buddy Jake. He, by the way, is the very first recruiter that I hired 20 years ago when I got promoted from recruiter to director of recruiting. Jake was my very first hire. He was selling frozen food door to door for Schwann's, and I figured if that guy can knock on doors and sell frozen chickens, he can probably cold call and recruit. And sure enough, he was the best recruiter on my team almost immediately. 20 years later, he's one of the best IT recruiters in the country. So it's very funny that he texted me today and say, heads up, I just got orders for 6 people and I'm asking you for help. He calls me a lot for help because he gets a job order and he says, oh my gosh, I have to fill this position. One example is he recruits all over the nation for technology professionals. And one of his top clients, most important clients, said, hey, I know you hire tech people, but I need a director of marketing and we're a technology company. So I bet you know somebody. Can you help me out? And Jake said, I really don't know any. He didn't say that to the client. He said, yes, I can help you out. And then he went on LinkedIn to see if he knew any technology marketing managers, and he didn't know any. There weren't any first level connections, but he saw the mutual connections to some hot candidates. And guess whose name was at the top of the list? Me. Now, at this point, Jake could have sent me an in-mail in LinkedIn and said, hi, Catherine, it's Jake. Hope you're doing well. Say, you're connected to a couple of candidates that I'm trying to reach out to in San Francisco. Would you be willing to introduce me? Instead of taking 10 minutes to do that, he just picked up the phone. So he hunted on LinkedIn, and now he's calling a mutual connection and asking for help. I pick up the phone because it's Jake, and he said, hey, how are you doing? You got 5 minutes? And I said, not really, but for you, yes, I'll make 5 minutes. And he told me what he needed, and I said, let me go see. And I immediately went on LinkedIn. I found some people that I know because I used to hire IT people. Then I hired marketing and creatives. And I actually do have an extensive network in that space. So long story short, in about 3 minutes flat, I found him. I got a list of results. I think it was 14 really solid candidates, and I handpicked 3 that I knew and I could vouch for. And I said, hey, give them a call, drop my name. If you have any trouble hearing back from them, let me know and I will call them for you. He hired one of those people I recommended 4 days later. Now, this is a shock to a lot of people because they think, what? Why would he call you when he has LinkedIn right there and he could InMail you? Because Jake knows that I'm buried in InMail messages and requests, especially right now. Very, very few people call me because they're afraid of the phone. So let that be a lesson to you too. If you find somebody on LinkedIn and you want a mutual connection to introduce you, try calling them. They might answer. So this is what the search actually looked like. First, Jake went out there and did this himself. Technology marketing manager, 13,500 results, way too many for him to manage. So he trimmed it down by location and got it down to 122 results. That was still too many, so he called me. And I did a search by first level connections because I have first level connections, people I know and I can vouch for. Bada bing, bada boom, I did. I got it down to 14 results. And then I went through my list and I handpicked. Hans, for example, has supported marketing departments. I worked with Hans 20 years ago. He's not a marketing manager, but he was at the top of my list. So I skipped him and gave Jake some other candidates that were on the money in terms of what he was looking for. Any questions about this? Does anybody have questions about how recruiters look for talent using LinkedIn? If so, I'm going to pause and take a quick question. If not, then I'm going to talk to you about the fundamentals to having luck on LinkedIn. How do you get their phone numbers? Oh, good question, Jane. All right, so I can tell you how to get emails. I'm going to write this down for you because this is there are two tools to help you get email addresses, all attendees. All right, Mail Scoop is one way to get emails, and then Hunter is another way to get email addresses. Phone numbers, there are a couple of different ways to get phone numbers, and I bet there are tools out there. I can't think of them off the top of my head. There are free tools that can help you get phone numbers as well. What do? If I want the phone number of somebody, the first thing I do is look at their LinkedIn profile. And if they're smart, they have their LinkedIn profile out there. But the higher you get in the food chain, director, VP, C-level, C-suite, they start to take their phone number off their LinkedIn profile because they're afraid of too many phone calls. So you probably won't get their phone numbers or emails on LinkedIn, but you can often Google, do an internet search by person's name and ask for their name plus email plus phone. And you might be shocked that you might get their phone number. You also can go to the company, do a search for the company and get the main switchboard at the company and simply ask for the decision maker. Now, some receptionists are going to shut you down. No, I'm sorry, he doesn't take phone calls. May I ask why you're calling? But most of them will say, sure, and they'll put you right through. But the best, smartest thing for you to do is to try and get a mutual connection to introduce you. And that's what Jake would have done if he had any trouble getting a response from those candidates. But he's a shrewd recruiter. He knows how to do it. But if you're networking and somebody makes an introduction for you and there's no response, call that person back and ask for help. Oh, yes. And Gary says, can you export email addresses for LinkedIn contacts? Yes, you can. If you have a premium account, great, thank you for bringing that up. If you have a premium account, LinkedIn lets you export every single first level connection into an Excel spreadsheet with their email and their phone number if they've decided to make it public. Out of habit, I export all of my contacts about every 3 months because I'm constantly adding new contacts. And if LinkedIn ever blows up or charges me an exorbitant amount and I can't stay on that platform anymore, then I've got all those contacts. Thank you for bringing that up, Gary. All right, so Ali wants to know how do recruiters find you? Do they necessarily look for mutual connections? And what is the single thing that makes them call you? Well, they find you the way Jake did. They do a search for job title or key skills. They look at who comes up, and then if it's a first level connection and they know you, they're going to call you. If they come up dry and they can't find anybody there that they're already connected to, then they go to mutual connections and they try to get introduced. Now, the next question is what makes them want to call you? When they click on your profile, if you've got a strong profile and it's got the right keywords, it's an all-star profile. It's got your photo. You need a photo. You need under your name, you need to have the job title, your area of expertise. You need to have the about section filled out and your work history. If you've got a fully complete profile and it's filled with the keywords that they're hunting for and that they need in that job, they're going to reach out to you. And Jaysani is going to talk a little bit more about what's important in your profile, which is really going to help you out. So speaking of Jaysani, we've got a lot of content to share. I'm going to zoom through the next section, hand the baton over to Jaysani, because we want to get through, as I said, you're going to get the slides. There will be a replay in a week or two, and you're going to get my 20-page guide. So I want Jaysani and I to move through this stuff at a high level so that we have time for your questions. So let us zoom through this, and then I'll break for questions again in a little bit. 3 absolutely critical success factors: a strong profile, daily activity. If you need a new project or you need a new job, you need to get out on LinkedIn every day, even if it's just 15 minutes. You might miss an opportunity. I almost missed a $53,000 project because a stranger, a woman I'd never talked to, reached out to me and she didn't say anything personal. And I almost buzzed by her to come back later, but I thought, and I clicked on her profile and said, oh my gosh, she's a VP of HR. I should probably respond. And I responded, and it turns out she had a project and she was looking for a vendor. And she signed me up a couple of days later. So you got to be out there every day. And if I had missed her message on that day, she probably would have hired somebody else. And that is how these things happen. Lastly, personal messages. As I said, as I wrap things up today, I'm going to talk to you about what to say, and you're going to get a whole 8 pages of scripts in the free PDF that Art's going to send you. All right, so how to build a strong profile. That is step 1, critical to your success. And to talk you through that, I'm excited to bring Jaysani Ahmed on with you today. Now, let me tell you a little something about Jaysani. He speaks 10 languages. I speak 3. He speaks 10 languages. He was born in Kenya. He's lived in India, South Africa, and he's been in our beloved Minnesota for over 12 years, and he's been with Career Force for 12 years. He also has a cybersecurity certificate through Microsoft, and he's worked for Microsoft. So, Jaysani, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Kat. Thank you. Let me connect the video again. Can you see me? Yeah, here we go. Thank you. All right. Let's jump in. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. Today we'll talk about how to build really strong profile, LinkedIn profile. How to give yourself the best chance of success. Okay, if you say, let's say the building profile, what does that mean to you? If I tell you my own experience, actually, while I'm working at this state of Minnesota job service, I try to apply several positions at Microsoft and Amazon. What I did is I changed my profiles and I add a lot of content and what I'm looking for. And at the same time, I follow the big companies. I never worked for, I never thought of working for Fortune 1000. And a lot of people ask me, hey, Jaysani, you're doing something different. How did you get into this? A lot of people, they have experience, they have a lot of credentials. They ask me, how do I get Microsoft? Actually, what I did is just changing, building my profile and tweaking every now and then and get connections. That's how I get it. So let's continue about this. Identity. The most important things, you have to identify yourself, who you are. And again, after you do that, the best way you can do, after you put yourself on, put your pictures and all information on there, you have to have a strong URL. URL means it's like where employer can find you. If you share your LinkedIn profile, how people can identify you if it's you or somebody else. Also, make sure you always, if you already have a website or maybe a LinkedIn at the same time, just add that. If you want to share your website at the same time LinkedIn profile, you can separate that. At the same time, you can put the two links on the same page, so you can share that, so they can look at your profile on LinkedIn on the website as well. So it's really something important, and you have to share with your recruiters or employers. Okay, and again, personalizing your job settings. Okay, how can you do that? If you're working maybe full-time or part-time for one company and you want to change your career to different directions, make sure you have to change your settings. So, for example, if you look at my profile, maybe for those of you who want to see my profile, I put the job that I'm doing now. At the same time, I put some titles that the job that I'm open to. So that is, it's not public, but well, those people who I'm following them or who follow me, they can see my profile. So they can read and say, hey, look like you're looking for maybe another positions and all this. And they're asking several questions. Actually, a few minutes ago, I changed my profile and I get recruited from Wells Fargo, North Dakota. He asked me, hi, Jezani, I hope you are doing well today. I came across your profile and thought you will be an excellent match for one of your clients, Wells Fargo. Right now, they are looking for data engineer to join their team. If you are open to new opportunities, please let me know. I can run this by you. From my perspective, it seems that you are exactly what my clients are looking for. So it means this is a really good thing. So you have to do that and change every time. And the other one is add job preference, career of interest, maybe what your interest, what types of job you are looking for. So you don't just say, oh, I already have built my profiles and I'm still waiting people to look at my resume and my profile at the same time. No, you can't do that. You have to add job titles and keywords and what the employer looking for. So if you said, oh, my previous job, I really like it, I want the same exactly or the same titles, it's fine. But at least you have to target what you're looking for. And again, make sure you have to change your location, select your locations. If a recruiter, maybe somewhere in California, New York, are looking for people, and if you are not ready to move to New York or somewhere else, make sure change it to Minnesota. Only the Minnesota recruiter will see you in that region. So if you want to move to maybe another location, for example, you want to go to Wisconsin. So the best way you can do, just change that location and check the box which says full-time or part-time. That makes a difference. So it's really beneficial, because if you don't know what you're looking for, if it's full-time or part-time, a recruiter, they get confused. It's like, oh, your profile is really stand out and really look good, and they want to talk to you, but they don't know. There's a question mark there. So make sure you have to do that and change what you're looking for, job titles, locations, and full-time or part-time. All right, privacy setting. I know a lot of people, they want to change their careers. Maybe they want to move to another location. Maybe they don't want people to see their profile while they are building their LinkedIn profile. Make sure you have to, there's a two-way. Either you can do public or you can do private. If you want to do public, a lot of people can see you online and they can search, they do search engine, they can see your profile. If you don't want that, you can do privates, and only those people that you connected to, maybe employers or coworkers or somewhere else at another location, they can follow you, they can see what you're looking for. Otherwise, if you want to make it off until you build your profile, it's really beneficial. And maybe some people, they said, according to security and all this, and you don't get that much, a lot of people who can interrupt you and say, oh, this is scammers. Maybe once a while you'll get one or two, but it's not that much. So make sure if you're not comfortable to put your profile on public, just turn it off until you get to build your profiles and you can share. And again, you can talk to anybody like a recruiter or anybody else, maybe professionals. They can look at your profile. Just say, hey, please, can you look at my profile? I'll share my URL link and then send it to your email if you can look over. That will really good, beneficial at the same time. First impressions. Okay, pictures. You have to smile and you have to have a good, clear picture. People can see you who you are. It's not the people, the picture that have 3 or 4 people at the same time and you're in the middle. No, that is not professional. The best way you can do it, change your picture, put the small color, really easy, readable. People can see your smile, they can see your face, and it's clear, there's no blurry. Okay, here we go. You can see those pictures. What's wrong with those pictures? You can see one person didn't put any pictures on there. Another one is standing in the middle of maybe in the house or somewhere. One guy is standing far away. That is really, it's not professional. Just make it as simple, easy. People can see your face, smile. And then you can't put any logos. Sometimes you can add your photos, but even if you don't want to add until you build your profile, but please don't add any like logos. Logos is not professional. And again, smile, because you want to market yourself. You want to sell yourself. You have to show impression that, hey, I am the one who qualified for this position. I am the one who can do this job. Even if you don't have that experience, please just take a good picture, smile, and show yourself, hey, this is me. Okay, great photos, great result. It's really good. If you build your profile, or if you didn't build it yet, but once if you add photos, it gives you a percentage every time, and then you will see a lot of people look at your profile. Every time when you add any content into your profile, you will see a few, like 10 or 15, 20 people can click it, and you can see the numbers is increasing. And then you will get on the upper right under your picture, sometimes you will get the list of who review your profile at the same time. It boosts really. And again, message, you get a lot of message from people. And then connection at the same time, you will see a lot of people requesting connections with you. Okay, write a compelling summary. Okay, LinkedIn is like a product that you're selling to somebody doesn't know what types of ingredients is there. So if you want to sell yourself, and for example, maybe somebody who's sitting behind this wall, they don't know who you are. They don't know your character. They don't know the way that you look, and they don't know your skills. They don't know your experience. They don't know your education. So the best way you can do, you have to have a good summary. You have to build a good profile, and people can say, hey, this is the person that we are looking for. For example, if you go to the organic store and buy something from the shelf, they say, hey, this is organic store, but there's something that you need. So you just walk around the shelf and you find something, maybe you read that bottle of maybe organic tablets or whatever it is. So you read and it says, oh, this is really, it makes you younger, it makes you this and that, you run 20 miles an hour, this and that. So before you test that product, it changes your mind, it clicks. You say, yes, you get more confidence. Say, hey, if I use this, this will help me really. So it's the same. So if you send it to your profile to somebody else and you share it, they say, wow, this is the person that we are looking for. We trust. That it makes it change a lot of things. And again, keyword. Just not just put activity second this position and this and that. Don't just say that. Just summarize your skills, experience, and people will admire it. Employer, recruiter will admire it. Okay. Okay, complete your profile to 100%. Every time, as I said, if you add contents like education, the work history, volunteering, this will boost your profile, and you will see the percentage every time. If something is missing, you will see the X sometime on the left side or right. You can see it on the main page. So add your education, work history, employment history, volunteering, add link to show off your work. For example, presentations or certification accomplishments. Anything that you did, any certification that you have, upload it, add it. You will attract a lot of traffic, people, like recruiters. They will look at it. Actually, they will review it, they comment it, they say, hey, congratulations, this and that. It's really good. If I maybe comment on your profile or anything that you upload, those people who follow me, they can see. Again, they say who I follow. So that will be really good. It will attract, and the traffic of people to look at your profile will be higher. So make sure you do that. And then regular updates always. And then now let's go to talk about 7 more tips and tricks. How you can boost your profile. Okay, update your contact information always. Make sure if you change your phone number. If you don't want a phone number to put on there, actually there's a Google GV online free. You can create your own, you can choose your own number, which is you can attach to your phone. You can divert it to your phone. And then if you don't want people to text you or to message you, you can get free line from Google. Google, they have a phone. They call it GV phone. There's an app for that. You can download it and you can create your own numbers and then you can put on that. That's what I do. So it's really beneficial. And then join relevant groups and contribute it frequently. There's a lot of, on LinkedIn, there's a groups every week. And if you follow it, you can see a lot of people joining and then they share information. And then trade professional endorsements. This is really good if you have skills and if somebody endorse you, just endorse the other person. Maybe that's how you can get more. Remove outdated information from your previous experience. You know, the thing is like, for example, you have a 30 years experience in different fields and you want to change your careers and you have another 10 years that the last job that you did, maybe you worked there 10 years, 15 years, or that will be really, that's if you're looking for that, just add on that. If the one 10, 15 years ago, you don't have to add it. Just change it, drop it if you want. That will make you stand out. Sometimes because they will say, oh, you did this customer service, maybe your system analysis from this company, and now you are doing software developer. So they will say, oh, it's really beneficial, but we are not looking for that. We want somebody who can. So it's really, if you update it, always beneficial. And follow the companies that offer your dream job. This is how I did. I followed Microsoft and Amazon. Actually, every time I get a lot of information and they share with me, and if they post a lot of jobs on their website, I get notifications say, hey, there's a job posted by this company, and then I go over and look over. And again, if you pull any position, actually you will see if you qualified, what you're missing, what the keywords the employer looking for, and according to job descriptions and then your profiles, it will match. So the keyword, if something is missing, it shows X. So you can test your profile like that too. You can test with that and then see what you're missing on there. So at the same time, any position that you're looking for or the job that you're interested, or maybe the employer that's your dream job, make sure you look at the jobs they have and then apply. Before you apply, you just pull it and then see what's the contents on there, and then you will see the LinkedIn actually match the keyword on your profile and then the job description. So it says, oh, you qualify, you have 15 or you have 10, but you don't have this, so it shows the one that you don't have. So there's a checkbox always you can see over there, and then it boosts your rate too, more than 20%, 22%. Okay. All right, thank you. Now Catherine, she will take over.
Thank you. Well, Jaizani, before you disappear, don't go away quite yet, because we have a question. First of all, I just want to say he's absolutely spot on all of these things. Probably the most important message he delivered is go for 100% complete profile. It'll give you 40 times more opportunities. So it's really powerful. So Jaizani, your advice about following companies is brilliant. If you haven't made a list of target companies, do it. And then go follow those companies. You'll be the first to hear about new jobs. You'll learn about what are they saying in PR campaigns. Did they acquire a company? Lots of really juicy stuff to figure out. They also will announce sometimes when they make new hires, on and on and on. But Jaizani, there's a question here. Somebody wants to know, how do you block companies from looking at your profile? And you did talk about that, but I don't recommend it.
Yeah.
Unless you're working. If you're working, I think that's what you said a little bit ago. If they're working right now and they don't want to get fired, because if their boss sees that they're looking for a new job, they might say, clearly you don't want to work here. And so if that's the case, then they probably should put their profile in a mode where companies can't see what they're looking at. So where can they go do that? You'd said that a little bit earlier.
Absolutely, yes, you can do that, because you don't want to overwhelm somebody, just recruiters or somebody else, and say, hey, this I see you're looking for a job. Are you ready for that? And that. If you're not ready, you don't have to show that. If you're looking for maybe part-time job, you can do that, and still you can show your last job title. But if you don't want it, you don't have to. Just turn off and then just say, hey, I'm not ready now.
Thank you, Jayzani. And the really cool thing is, if you don't understand anything that we're talking about, all you have to do is go to LinkedIn Help and they explain it in great detail. You also can go out and do an internet search, and somebody has probably done a YouTube video or written an article about how to do the one thing that you're looking to do. So don't feel overwhelmed. I promise you, somebody has posted something, LinkedIn and other people, about how to do what you want to do around privacy and what have you. So thank you, Jayzani.
Yes,
I'm
I
going to
just want to
plow
add
through the
one
rest
thing.
of this.
For those people who live in Hannipin, Minneapolis, or somewhere around here, there's a lynda.com, which is if you have a library cards, or maybe if you're a student, the school offer that. Is a free LinkedIn. Now the Lynda, I think that Microsoft, they pay some of those, and then it's free. So if you have a library in Hannipin County, or maybe if you go to any school, actually they provide that free, so you can go and take those training, and you can add that on your profile at the same time.
Yes. So thank you, Jayzani. I just typed that in for everybody. He's saying if you don't have the premium account of LinkedIn, you can get LinkedIn Learning. It's actually called lynda.com, and it's available for free through all of the, at least the metro area libraries, and I bet probably for outstate Minnesota too.
Yes, yep, it's free now. Since the COVID-19 started, I think they made it free. And then the other one is, they call it O'Reilly Online Book Learning. I think they call it O'Reilly Books. It's online free tools that you can learn videos, and you can get some certification free now until end of July. It's free. So normally you pay $400, $500 the whole year, but now it's free until end of July. You can benefit from those.
Thank you very much. All right, Jayzani, appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
The ultimate test of your LinkedIn profile job scan, by the way, that one that Jayzani had shared, I helped Mariana. She'd been unemployed for 6 months. Basically, her resume was a mess. And I had her put it in job scan with one of her dream jobs, and her resume scored 22% match. I sent her off to go redo her resume. I told her how to redo it for the job she really wanted. And she went back to job scan to test it and ended up with an 86% match. And she got a job 2 weeks later. That's the power of job scan. And they're doing a bunch of free job scan tests right now during COVID-19. So that's cool. Yeah, that was the last site given. Janine wants to know. It's job scan. Let me type it in for you guys here again. And again, you are going to get a copy of the slides, and it's also in my free guide that you're getting because you attended today. So test your profile to see if it's on point, if it's got the right keywords to match that job you're going after and attracting the right target market. But the ultimate test of your profile, are you getting interviews? If you're not getting interviews, go back and look at your profile, figure out what's missing, and most importantly, make sure that you're writing it for your future boss, not your past boss. All right, so you're going to get my free guide, and in that is what I call the LinkedIn Lucky Checklist, the 10 essential elements, and so it's really underscoring what Jayzani just walked you through. The other thing that's in the guide that you're all getting for attending with us live today is some great examples of how to talk about yourself in that about section. That summary or about section on LinkedIn is a magical place. And if you take the time to write a great introduction, that's going to give you what I call the sizzle, which is going to make people click on your profile, open it up, read it, and want to reach out to you. And so make sure you grab that free guide when Art sends the follow-up email, and dig in there to see. I've got examples of great summaries for truck drivers, receptionists, IT leaders, salespeople, district managers, even recruiters, and more examples for you to really help you think about how to talk about yourself. That's where a lot of people get hung up. They don't know what to say. But we want to get to your questions today, so oh yeah, the site that the last presenter gave was lynda.com. So the last site given was lynda.com, and then Jayzani, you'll have to type out the other one that you mentioned. I wasn't sure what you said there either. There was another site that you mentioned. So if you can just let all the attendees know about that, that would be great. Good question, Janine. All right, so I talked about the 3 critical keys and their building blocks. A strong profile is the foundation, daily activity is next, and then really good messages is third. Daily activity is the secret. I've talked about, I almost missed a $53,000 project. Melissa just got a job in two weeks. All sorts of stories about people who, when they're out there every day, they're finding opportunities. People remember them, people see them, and there you go. So in the chat, thank you, Jay Zani. I appreciate that. There was another site he mentioned in addition to lynda.com, and I can't remember what it was. So question in the comments, are you on LinkedIn every day? And if so, what are you doing out there? Are you getting lost in the videos and the articles and reading profiles? Or are you actually gaining traction? Are you adding to your network? Are you standing out as a thought leader? Are you sharing articles? Are you commenting on people's videos? If you just go out on LinkedIn and read people's profiles and read their articles and you say nothing, that's like standing on the curb, peering in somebody's window and not knocking on the front door. They won't even know you're there. You have to engage and talk to people and share. And if you're not good at writing your own articles or creating your own videos, and if the idea of live streaming, like I've been doing for the last 9 weeks, every morning, 8 a.m., I'd love to have you. They're free, 8 a.m. Central. I'm showing up. I have guests on 3 or 4 days a week, and it's all aimed at helping basically to flatten the unemployment curve, get people back to work faster, help small businesses survive, and freelancers and consultants. So just go to ourbez.com. That's my website. You can be there at 8 a.m., click on the live button, and there I will be. But not everybody is comfortable going on camera and creating articles and videos, and that's okay. You can also share other people's content. That's a great way to stand out. Don't know what the question is about 10%. Carrie, if you can ask that question a little differently, I would love to answer it. By the way, when Jaizani was talking, I did write down some of your questions that are fantastic questions, and I want to get to them. We're going to wrap up here. I'm going to wrap up the content in the next 8 minutes. Art's going for some of you have to leave right at 4 o'clock. Art's going to tell you what you can expect in terms of a follow-up email and future opportunities and other resources through Career Force. Then I'm going to come back on and take your questions for 15 minutes. Oh, Carrie says, I'm going to stop for this question. She sees that she's in the top 10% of applications. What does that really mean? It means a couple of things, Carrie. If LinkedIn says, woohoo, you're in the top 10% of candidates, it means that you've got the skills and experience that they're looking for, which tells me that you have the skills and experience, plus your profile has the right keywords, plus you're active on LinkedIn. Unfortunately, you guys, you might be the best candidate on the planet, but if you only have a profile out there and you're not active on LinkedIn, LinkedIn is never going to put you in the top 10% of candidates. That's the ugly truth, because LinkedIn rewards highly engaged, highly networked members. So Carrie, you have a strong profile, you're a good fit for the position, and you're out on LinkedIn on a regular basis. That's what that means. All right. Yes, there is a way to get noticed. Mike, I'm going to take Mike's question and then I'm going to jump through the rest of my content here. So Mike wants to know, when you're posting and sharing, is there a way to do that so that you get more noticed? Yes, couple of things for you to do. First of all, instead of just commenting below somebody else's post, the best thing to do, if it's really good material, is to click the little share arrow and share it to your network. It's going to give the person who created the content is going to say, oh my gosh, that's awesome, because you're going to share it. And then you're going to tag that person. It's known as tagging. And when you share their article or live stream or what have you, a couple of things I want you to do. I want you to call them out by name and say @Mike Krantz. And if you do that, LinkedIn will give you a drop down of all the Mike Krantzes, and you pick the right one. All of a sudden, Mike, who wrote that original article, is hyperlinked, and they're going to get a notification that you shared their article, which makes them say, wow, that's cool. And now your network says, wow, Mike just shared a really cool article, but you need to do one more thing. Don't just share it and tag the person. You need to write a little bit of an introduction about why you think this is an article worth reading. That is the way to really boost your visibility and traction. And by the way, LinkedIn's algorithms are following your behavior, and they really like it when you share people's content also. And so they essentially give your profile higher marks if you're somebody who's sharing other people's content. So those are a couple of tricks. Every day, you need to check messages and reply to people who wrote to you. Again, I almost missed a $53,000 project. So check your messages, respond to people. Scan the homepage, comment on work anniversaries, congratulate people on their new jobs, and send messages to people. When I see an article or a video I love, I say, hey, great job on this. I'm going to share it with my network. Scan the updates. LinkedIn spoons feeds you every single day right in front of you. They've got a list of notifications, messages, the news feed. It is so easy to find 10 people to talk to every day. It really is. Great article. Congrats on the work anniversary. Happy birthday. There's really no excuse for not talking to people on LinkedIn because LinkedIn makes it so easy. And again, the more active you are, the more you engage and talk to people, the more LinkedIn will reward you by putting you at the top of the list when recruiters and hiring managers are hunting. That's the way that all works. Because LinkedIn is trying to make the network robust and work for everybody. Now, number 4, I don't have time to really teach you a lot about who's viewed, but I want you to write this down. Who's viewed every day? You get a picture of literally who's viewed your profile. Now, if you're on the free edition, it's very annoying because they might tell you 62 people looked at your profile, but you can't see who it is. If you pay for the premium edition, if you're a veteran, you get the premium edition for free. You get a 30-day free trial to really understand how Who's Viewed works. I go out there almost every day and I look at who's viewed my profile, and a lot of times it's somebody at a company that I am trying to do business with, and I'll reach out to them and say, "Oh, hi, thanks for visiting my profile. I'd love to connect." Or, "Thanks for visiting my profile. A great article yesterday," whatever it is. "Thanks for visiting my profile" is all you need to say. Kent did that and got a job from the guy who visited his profile. Now, the guy viewed his profile, but didn't say anything. And Kent said, "Can I talk to him?" Of course. It's like he looked in the window of your house and then ran away. Of course, you can open the front door and say, "Hi, thanks for dropping by." That's what it's like. All right, so that's number 4. Number 5, endorsements, recommendations. You need to get at least 3 recommendations on your profile, and the easiest way to do that is to give other people recommendations. Recommendations carry a tremendous amount of weight. Endorsements, not so much. They're nice, but they don't carry a ton of weight. But if somebody endorses you, say thank you. Number 6, connect with at minimum 2 new people. And again, LinkedIn spoon feeds you, hey, suggested connections. Number 7, talk to people, talk to people, talk to people. And number 8, help other people. Zig Ziglar once said, you can get everything you want in life if you're just willing to help enough other people get what they want. It's so true. The more generous you are as a networker, share job leads. If you get a call from a recruiter and you're not interested in it, say, "Hey, Susan, thanks so much for the call. That's not a good fit. But if you send me the job description, I'll push it out to my network for you." The recruiter is going to love you for life. I remember people who did that for me 15 years ago because it's so rare for people to offer to help a recruiter. That's a great way to stand out. And by the way, you just helped your network get a job. All right. It's in the guide that you guys are going to get. Daily 8 LinkedIn Action Planner. Jeannie was over 70, convinced nobody was going to hire her because of her age. She didn't want to be on LinkedIn. She thought it was icky, a waste of her time. She took a deep breath. She got out there and she implemented my Daily 8 action plan, and she got a job 3 weeks later. The first week she got out there, she got multiple interviews. She got her profile good and she got out there doing the daily activity. And the second week she got multiple offers And in the third week, she landed her dream job. The more engaged you are, the more people will view your profile. This is a snapshot of my Who's Viewed when I did a live stream for the first time. I had a 459% increase in the number of people who viewed my profile that morning because of my first live stream. Wow. And as I mentioned, Kent got a job in just 2 weeks. If you want to learn how to do the Who's Viewed, get my guide. You can go to LinkedIn Help, or you can just Google Who's Viewed on LinkedIn, and you will get a whole bunch of people teaching you how to use it. I'm going to wrap it up by saying you have to personalize your messages. You have to personalize your messages if you want people to respond. Jennifer figured out how to do this, and she got a job offer 2 days later because she reached out to a former coworker. And before she asked for anything, she said, "Oh my gosh, how are you doing? It was such fun to see you out here." And he replied back and said, "Oh my gosh, I'm great. The kids are in college. Can you believe it? How are you?" And she said, "Well, I'm great. I'm in between jobs right now, but I'm great." And he said, "Are you kidding me? My company's hiring. You want to talk about it?" And she had a job offer 2 days later, only because she personalized her message. Now, if you're wondering about email versus LinkedIn, let me tell you, when you send somebody an email, it lands in their email inbox. When you send somebody a message on LinkedIn, it hits 3 things. It pops up on their phone if they have it set that way. It shows up in their inbox, in their email, and it shows up in their LinkedIn inbox. They have 3 chances to see your message versus just 1 if you send an email, which is why you're going to get a 300% higher response if you send somebody a message on LinkedIn. Wow. So, quick question as I wrap things up. Are people responding to your messages? And if they aren't, I want you to get that PDF that Art sends. I want you to print it out. I want you to hug it. And I want you to use my scripts. In that guide, am spoon feeding you networking scripts that I have tested for 22 years. And I've tested them for me, and I've tested them for over 100,000 job seekers. I'll tell you how to talk to recruiters, people you know, people you used to know, who's viewed. On page 7 of this, I tell you how to talk to people who have viewed your profile, what to say to recruiters, what to say to hiring managers. As I wrap things up, for those of you that have to trot off and can't hang out for the Q&A, here are 4 little things you can do today to dramatically boost your results. Are you ready? Here they are. Number 1, get your profile to an all-star strength. LinkedIn will show you how step by step. I've also got the guide to help you. As Jayzani said, set up those job preferences, your career interests. Test your LinkedIn profile using JobScan. 5 free scans at any point, but now during COVID, they're giving away even more. And do the daily action plan. Do the daily action plan. All right. So Janine, I want to get you're new to Minnesota. Welcome, welcome. I'm going to take your questions first after I wrap this up. Rick's got to go. 3 keys to your success: strong profile, daily activity, and personal messages. Help beyond a day. You are not alone. You are not alone in your job search. We've got 2 more online job clubs in this pilot project. On the 26th, next Tuesday, I'm going to help you attack the first 30 seconds of a networking conversation. And then the last week, June 2nd, I'll be joined by Paul Sears, and we're going to talk about job search over 40 and what to do about ageism in your job search. So I hope you'll sign up. Seats are limited, so please sign up now. And how do you do that? You head on out to the virtual career services. That's where you will find it. Okay. So as I said, Art is going to send a follow-up email with the slides, with my PDF, and other opportunities. There are webinars on resume writing and interviewing happening every week through the virtual career force. There are other things happening as well. Head on out there to see what's available for you. You're not alone at all. So Janine, questions. Here's what I'm going to question. You're new to Minnesota. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm a transplant. I've been here 22 years. I love it. I moved away and I moved back. So I think I've been here half my life. I'm a Minnesotan, right? Yes. I remember what it was like when you were brand new. You feel like you don't know anybody. You feel like finding a job is hopeless. It isn't. Janine Susan moved here in the middle of the Great Recession. Her husband got a job. They were brand new. She was unemployed. She didn't know a single person. And she said, I can't get a job. I don't know anybody here. And I said, you will be surprised. Just start reaching out one day at a time. And guess what? She went from 6 months of unemployment to 6 weeks later, she had two job offers. One of them was $20,000 more than she'd ever made in her life, and it was a new role for her. She'd been a director of nursing in the hospitals and clinics. She'd never worked in an assisted living facility, and she wanted to be an executive director. It was a stretch, and she did all of that through networking with brand new people. You can do it too. People are really friendly here, really friendly and really helpful if you're specific about what kind of people you want to meet. You have to be specific. Once you connect with somebody, you have to be specific about who you are looking to talk to so that they can introduce you to the right people. If you're not specific, they won't know how to help you. Okay, so other questions. Let me take them one by one. So T sent me a private message probably 20 minutes ago. T has two LinkedIn profiles, and she said the reason she did that is she's going after two different jobs. Is that a good idea? I'm sorry, T, not a good idea. People don't like it when they do a search for you and two different profiles come up. They think, huh? What's going on here? It actually highlights the fact that you're going for two very different jobs and it confuses people. And if somebody over here wants to hire you, unfortunately, they're going to think, well, she probably doesn't want my job. She probably really wants that one. So I know you aren't going to like my answer, but one LinkedIn profile, and you need to do a little bit of extra work to figure out how to craft a profile that's going to hit on both job targets. And how do you do that? You have to do some research. You have to go online, pull down some job postings, go look at LinkedIn profiles of people who are in that job that you want in both categories. And then you can either make a spreadsheet. You could make a spreadsheet, and that's probably in your situation. It's a little painful, but that's what you're going to have to do. Make a spreadsheet of the skills and experience that this job is asking for, that this job is asking for, and see where the marriage is and where the skills and experience are consistent in both target jobs. Those should show up in your about section. They should show up in your skills section. And then the things that are different, if you have jobs and job history in that, you can also pack those in your skills list, the drop down menu of skills, and make sure you pack your work history with the right keywords that those companies are asking for. But one profile. Okay, Jay Zani took the one about blocking companies. Jay, another private message. Jay asked me, how do you add a postponed knee surgery to your profile? The short answer is you don't. I suspect you want to put a postponed knee surgery to your profile as an explanation of why you aren't working right now. And if that's the case, I suppose you could put it out there. But can I be really honest? It's one reason I started my own business 14 years ago when I was working in recruiting and leadership for consulting and other companies. Legal and HR used to sort of bite my tongue and say, be careful what you say to people about why they aren't getting hired. They were afraid of lawsuits, and I was under a lot of restraints. Now I can be honest with you. You really shouldn't discuss any health issues at all during the hiring process until they're about to make an offer, and only if it comes up, and only if you need special considerations. So if you're in a wheelchair and you're going to need a wheelchair ramp, absolutely appropriate at the offer stage to ask them if they have a wheelchair ramp for you, if they want you to come into the office. But don't bring it up in the first interview. It should not be a factor in any health issues or disabilities should not be a consideration for whether or not they should hire you. And if you tell them about it, unfortunately, they can't unhear it. And I'm going to be really honest with you and tell you what happens on the hiring side of the desk. If you share too much information too soon, I've got a friend who's a VP of HR, and she told me over a glass of wine, she said, Catherine, the truth is, When somebody tells me about a health condition, I start calculating the healthcare costs and the days off. And she said, I know I shouldn't do it. I'm in HR because I care about people, but I can't unhear it. I don't want to know if, she said, I don't want to know if you have any disabilities or any health issues until we're going through paperwork. Because by then, we've chosen you for all the right reasons. You're the best candidate for the job. We're excited to have you on board. And at that point, we're of course going to be willing to make accommodations as needed. So that was probably more information than you needed. I don't think your knee surgery belongs on your LinkedIn profile or your resume, especially right now. For those of you that are worried about gaps in employment, a couple of things. Number one, the stigma around job hopping and gaps is almost gone. There's still some old folks out there who are stuck in the old ways. When I got into recruiting 22 years ago, there was a lot of stigma around job hopping and a year or two gap. That stigma is gone because on the heels of the recession, it took us a couple of years for the economy to recover, and a lot of people have had short-term jobs and contracts trying to pull out of that recession. COVID-19 shut down the world. Your only explanation needs to be why you're out of work right now is COVID-19. And you're going to be able to get away with that for probably another 6 months. If people say, why are you still unemployed? Woo! Unemployment, did you see those numbers? The job market's been a little bit tighter, but I'm pretty excited to be here talking to you about this today. So that's one way to handle that. Okay. Other questions. Let's see here. Work from home. G asked me, how do I specify work from home? Unless you absolutely cannot work from the office, if you refuse to commute, you refuse to drive into an office for any amount of time during the week, then you can specify work from home. But if you would consider a job because you need a paycheck, and you would consider a commute, and you would consider going into a business, but you're hoping to work from home, then I wouldn't mention it anywhere on your profile. Here's the truth, you guys. Right now, the switch is flipped, and there's a lot of talent on the market. You don't want to give people any reason to shut you down at the beginning stage. If you say work from home, and they really want somebody in the office half-time, they're not going to talk to you. And if you're willing to work half-time, you just got cut out of a process that you want to consider. The other thing is, if you really want to work from home and they fit you and you're their number one choice, when you're negotiating that offer, you might be able to get some flexibility around working from home. So again, if you absolutely black and white must work from home, like you've got kids in diapers, that's a compelling reason. Put it on your profile. Make sure you don't waste your time. But if you're open and you put any restraints on it. The other thing is, if you're picking locations, please don't pick Rochester if you're willing to consider a job in the Minneapolis-St. Paul metro area. Because if you only click Rochester, nobody in the Twin Cities is going to consider you because they assume you won't commute. I actually had an HR, I couldn't believe it. I had a recruiter say to me a few months ago, well, we'll never say it publicly, but our global company won't consider anybody who lives more than 25 miles from our office. Really? There are plenty of people who live on farms, love it, and like a commute because they read books on tape. They are eliminating people who live more than 20, 25 miles from their office. So don't give it to them. Don't let them fall in love with you. And then at the final offer, that's when you discuss things like that. All right. Really important question. Jane, and I think a few others of you asked the question, what do you do if you're unemployed? LinkedIn wants you to put in current job. What do you put? Please don't put the words unemployed on your profile. I'm also not a fan of putting seeking employment. Why? Well, you're not going to like me, and if you could throw spitballs at me right now, you would, but I'm going to tell you the truth. It's kind of like if you just got divorced and you're hitting the dating scene for the first time, and you lead with, hi, I'm Bob, I just got divorced. Whoa. People don't know what to do with it. They're uncomfortable, and it pulls them away from the conversation. That's not what you want people to know about you. If you're Bob and you just got divorced, that was then, this is now. You want them to see you for you. On LinkedIn, I don't want people to see Jerome unemployed. I want them to see Jerome call center maverick. Um, #1 call center rep for the last 7 months in a row. That's what I want them to see about you. Let them discover along the way that you're in transition, but get them hooked in to what you're looking for. The only exception is if you are a freelancer or a consultant, you're in between gigs and you have high demand skills and you don't have a lot of competition. That's the only time I really like people to say, and even then, I don't want to hear unemployed, in transition. I want to hear now available, but not on the headline. That headline under your name needs to say what you can do for your next employer, not that you're unemployed. So what do you do in the work history? You put in your area of expertise. If you're not at all open to contracting or consulting, don't put it, because that's a lie. You never want to lie on your profile. Just put in call center rep. And then underneath that, you can say that's where in the work history, the description, that's where you can start to talk about the fact that you're now available, open to contract and full-time positions. But you want the first thing and that job title to be that target job for you. It's not perfect. I don't like that LinkedIn forces you to do that, but it is what it is. All right. It's 4:16 and we all have gardens to dig in, marathons to run, dinner to cook, or maybe a couple of fixes to make to your LinkedIn profile. I really hope that every one of you is going to do one thing before the end of the day. One thing, either before dinner, after dinner, do one thing to your LinkedIn profile to boost it before the day is over. Every single day, peck away at that LinkedIn profile. What you're going to get in that PDF is that 12 essential items. Just peck at those checklists one by one a day. And before you know it, you're going to have recruiters, hiring managers, and really fun people reaching out to connect with you on LinkedIn. So I'm going to wrap it up and just say, you're welcome, Richard. And thank you for calling out Art and Jay. Let me tell you something. Without Art, we wouldn't be here. It's magic what he does behind the scenes. And Jayzani, thank you so much. You guys, I want you all to know, Jayzani said yes to this on Friday, and he talked to me on Saturday to prep for showing up with you guys today. So thank you, Jayzani, for jumping in to share your wisdom today. And you guys, you're going to have some bad days in your job hunt. And I want you to remember, courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's as simple as turning off your computer, turning off your phone, and saying, I'll try again tomorrow. So with that, Art, you want to wrap us up today? Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Catherine. And as she mentioned, the follow-up materials will be out in the next 12 minutes, actually. I've been prepping them while Catherine has been putting out this great information. I'll also include the direct link to get you to next week's webinar, so you don't have to search for it. I wish you the best of luck in your job search, and if you have a need, CareerForce is not open physically at this point. We're working on that. We are open virtually, so please let us know what we can do to help. Thanks, everyone, and have a great evening.